All right, let's take a look at a little example and kind of quiz ourselves a little bit here. See if you're making connections. So a frequency of 300 hertz means that something is happening blank times a second. How many times is something happening a second according to this 300 hertz? Give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, time's up. You should have come up with something like 300, right? Because it's 300 hertz. So the hertz relates to the times a second, and then this over here refers to what is it that is occurring over and over during that time in that cycle. All right. What about a frequency of 7 hertz? That means that something is happening blank times a second. We should get this in 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. All right. Pretty straightforward. It should have been 7 times a second. All right. So we're going to pick it up and make it a little bit more difficult here, all right? Let's try this one. You're going to put together what we talked about now from the beginning regarding units of measurements, and let's see if you're able to make sense of this. So a frequency of 1 kilohertz means that something happens blank times a second. Give you about 5 seconds to figure that out. Alright, hopefully you came up with 1,000. Yes, 1,000. Give yourself a high five if you got it correct. I hope your logic is that, oh, I remember you telling me that the prefix kilo meant 1,000. So, 1,000 times the second. Alright, what about this one? A frequency of 7 kHz means that something happens blank times a second. Alright, you should have gotten 7,000, because yes, K is a short version of kilo. Alright, so all those units of measure, they can be abbreviated by the first letter that they start with. Alright, so just pushing your boundaries and kind of covering something new there with the prefixes. It's okay if you got it wrong, didn't really go over it, but now you should feel comfortable with those prefixes. Alright, what about this? 2 MHz means that something happens blank times a second. So, use your table if you have to. About 2 more seconds. Alright, here you go. You should have came up with 2 million, right? Because M means mega. And mega is a prefix for a million. So this is 2 million times a second something is occurring. And then finally, the last one, 5.2 GHz, means that something is happening blank times a second. 2 more seconds here. Let's see. Alright. You should have come up with 5.2 billion times a second, right? Because G is short for billion. Awesome. Let's give you some other challenging ones.